Yeah, back in the field with the Track Stars. Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah was good.
All right, for all things Track Stars, make sure you go to trackstarswithaz.com. Follow us on Instagram, like the Facebook page, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, all right?
Man, we got an interesting show for you today. We're doing it a little bit different today if you're watching live. We're going to be doing it like the Joe Budden style. We have somewhere to be. Everybody at this table, everybody at this table is about to be honored at the Christian Hip Hop Hall of Fame.
Yep.
We're the first inductees into the Christian Hip Hop Hall of Fame. You're about to see them in a second. But so we're going to, go topic to topic to topic today. And make sure we could get out here in time to go to that event. But we got some heavy hitters in the building today.
Heavy.
Yeah,
we got
man.
Trey from Holy Culture.
Yeah.
What's up, people? Nice.
What's up?
In the
Good
building.
to be here out in the field with the Track Stars.
So we're going to get a lot of wisdom today. I can feel it. I can feel it. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first, of course, you guys are aware that there's a lot of mainstream labels and companies taking notice of Christian hip hop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Offering deals, snatching up artists, giving people opportunities that weren't there before. I kind of want to know what you guys feel about that. Like, how do you, is it a good thing? Do you see some danger? How do you guys want to approach this one? Because I know you know too much.
I'm gonna go first because I think I'm cautiously optimistic. I think Nice gonna bring in that label secular experience that's going to crush or go against my optimism. So here's why I'm cautiously optimistic. Some of the people that we're talking about have a track record of being like unashamedly out spreading the gospel. You know, when you talk about Zonti, you talk about Child Like CC, you talk about Scooty Wop. These folks have not been like talking in code or using the Trojan horse strategy. Like they've been overtly talking about the gospel. So I'm cautiously optimistic that they won't lose all of that or lose enough of it that we no longer know who they are. I do worry that, like anything else, when investment is made, the investors want their return.
Yep.
So that's a natural concern, right? But I'm going to hold out cautious optimism.
Okay.
That's an interesting perspective. I used to be a former executive over at Warner Brothers. And when I was on Track Stars maybe 5-6 years ago, and I predicted this was going to happen. You know what I mean? Only because, see, what's happening is you have to look at it from the money perspective. So licensing is winning, right? And sync licensing is really winning. And so we're the only ones that can mimic hip-hop and have clean lyrics, right? So when you think about what Wande has done to Dashi and Derek Minor and Cray, they won on the sync side of things. And so labels see that and go, well, we need to get that under the umbrella. And the problem with it is Christian hip hop is cheap. We can get them for $5K versus I got to pay Migos $120,000, $30,000. I can get me 10 Christian artists for $50K.
I pray it's more than 5K, bro. As soon as you said that, there was something inside of me that just...
but that's real facts. And some people do it for a ham sandwich and a turkey. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's because they want to get on. Or you see the NBA 2K or you see the NFL. They want to get on so they can say, look, my resume say I'm on the new Madden game, but did you get paid for that? Really paid. And so what happens is Sync is coming in, and I always said the culture's going. I said the culture was going to lose the culture if you let them come in, because then they're going to dictate the sound. You know what I'm saying? You seen with Angie Rose where they tried to convert her into a Christian J-Lo. You see what I'm saying? You see what happened with No Big Deal. When he was like, they was
shelving them.
Not only just shoving them, but just keeping.
They didn't know how to market them.
Yeah, it wasn't even that. Because you gotta remember the labels got money.
What label was that? I can't remember.
That was
he was on Capital Christian.
Capital Christian.
Yeah, that was Capital. Okay. So the thing about it is and this is for all artists. If you're going over the major labels, understand that you don't get to release like you release.
Yeah,
you don't get to release a song every week or every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks.
That's good.
Because I'm gonna just tell you this. So when I was at Warner, we did KC, right, from KC and JoJo. One single cost us about $150,000 just to release, and that's with no guarantees.
Right.
Then you got to spend another $100 on marketing just to give it a shot.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So in Christian rap, you don't really have to spend that type of money, right?
So I guess,
let me go ahead.
I guess the question is this: does that model still work today for today's artists? Is that a different model for an artist that may come in and be like, you know, because I've seen like, I mean, we naming people's names. So like Aaron Cole, I use Aaron Cole for example. He just signed with RCA Inspirational, and it seemed like part of his rollout is releasing a song almost. Like he ain't released something this week, but he's been releasing songs consistently. So I'm like, is that model what you're talking about still in the play with certain labels, or is it just certain artists?
It depends. Well, you know, Aaron already had cachet in the game.
Yeah.
He came from a situation where he was already elevated, so he could come into another situation and actually kind of dictate the deal points.
Gotcha.
Right, saying I need to be able to release X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And he's been proven.
Yeah.
You see, so when you proven, the label will give you a little more flexibility.
Yeah.
Right, but in these cases that you ain't been proven and they going after sync, so it's like you got to follow what we say, and then we'll let you go do your thing.
So you're saying somebody, a CHH artist, fresh off the street, fresh. Maybe they got like on Spotify, they maybe got like 60,000 or 5,000, whatever. The label's more helping them versus them helping the label.
Yeah, but here's what the labels are doing. There's real strategic and smart is they're feeding. They'll sign an artist a year in advance. Right?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to feed your TikTok.
Yeah.
We're going to feed your gram. Yeah. We're going to feed all these things to make it look like, boom.
You're bubbling up.
You bubbling.
You bubbling. And then all of a sudden, we get attracted and go, yo, who's this or who's that? And then all of a sudden, but you can tell because they look becomes a little more mainstream.
Yeah.
You can tell the way the video is shot. You can tell you know what I mean? Like
polish.
It's polished. That's a great word.
Bigger budget.
Bigger budget because they being fed that. So I'm just saying it's great. I'm with you on the optimism. It's just that at the end of the day, understand that you won't be Andre 3000, hey, yeah, you're going to be Andre 3000 Outkast first.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. So given everything you said and given the context we're in now where it seemingly feels like post-pandemic, there's a bigger sense of individualism, but at the same time, there's also a sense of feeling people need community. Like I feel like more and more people are recognizing that need for community, right? As well as D1's spark conversation about the realities of hip hop, where it is, and how it feeds us, right? If you were advising an artist who has that opportunity to go after the major label deal, given your experience, how would you advise them to approach that in terms of structuring that in a way that puts jet fuel on what they want to do?
When you go do a deal, always put superstar clauses in. Right? See, people don't understand you can do that. If I reach this certain milestone, I get X. If I reach that certain milestone, I get X, Y, and Z. And if you know what I mean, when you put superstar clauses in, it forces the label A to really put that marketing into you, because you can say, if this doesn't happen, then I'm free to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? But 9 times out of 10, when you're approaching a major label, you have to understand they are the machine. They are going to put 100, 200,000. It don't mean nothing to you because you don't see it.
Right.
Yeah.
But 100,000 is 100,000.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when they putting that into you, they not just gonna let you go do what you want to do. You know, and that's what you sign on to be. If you want the letters RCA or Capital or Motown next to you, there's certain things you have to adhere to make that happen.
Totally.
Other than that, you can come back to Christian hip hop and have the local genre success, but it won't be to where you want to be. And people gotta understand it's the music business. You know what I mean? It's not the Christ business. It's not the whatever. If you coming into the music business, then understand it's music business.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, should a Christian hip hop artist sign with these major labels, or should they look for more of the Christian labels that's been provided for the system of CHH for so many years?
Can you really answer that question with a broad brushstroke? Because I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to that artist's goals.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what are they trying to achieve? For example, with each one of them, they could have very different reasons of why they went with a label deal, and could also then have very different disappointments, right? And so I think I have a hard time with a brushstroke answer to that.
Well, but the reason I'm saying that is because you have those two. You have that mentality of, let me go to the mainstream and impact it, or let me grow this thing, what we've been doing in this community for years, grow it. So now the mainstream is looking at us like, what is this? I didn't know what this was. I kind of brushed y'all off, but I want to do quote unquote business, or I want to sponsor this or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like kind of building your own with Holy Culture, and then Sirius say, hey, I really want to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the question is.
Well, I think it boils down to this. It's a matter of, do you want to be famous or do you want to fulfill purpose? You know what I'm saying? Because what happens is we gawk over the secular. I
Yeah.
call it the secular excellence.
Yeah.
People want to be on the hip hop charts and not the gospel charts. You know what I'm saying? People want to be on BET and not TBN. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when that mentality changes is when we'll be set, because you have Christian labels that could easily form a coalition that helps elevate the culture if we just come together. The problem in Christian hip hop is there's no unity. There's individuals, right, that have different packs and cliques.
Yeah, that's good. That's
That
good.
is a good question.
Wow.
So I was looking at Zonti's stuff this week, right? He's posted where he's gone through Atlantic Records and they're showing him different things like that. What's the benefit of, say, like a No Big Deal who was on Capital Christian, and then you come back and you find your own lane and you do your own thing? Like, is there a benefit to us going to these major labels just for the pop, and then if it fizzles out, we still have what we have?
Well, you're going to always have what you have, because the pop is they just going to elevate your pop. You're going to still be popular here.
Yeah.
Right? But see, with No Big Deal, it was fresh to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think they had like Social Club Misfits and
NF.
You know what I'm
NF,
saying?
yeah.
And so it was fresh to them with his case. But now Christian rap has gone through this evolution to where they understanding how to market better, where they can go to a Holy Culture or go to a Trackstarz or God's House of Hip Hop and Rapzilla and Service. They didn't really understand that.
That's good.
Yeah.
But I think, and just real quick, I think to me, the artist should be, if you've been in this community for so long, you should go to them and be like, yeah, I love to be on Sway. Yeah, I love to be on Breakfast Club, whatever. But I know some people that y'all got to send people through, like Holy Culture, like God's House, like us, like Wado, like all our media platforms. And I think what you just said about TBN and want to be on MTV or whatever, it's like sometimes it feels like the media is like, once you pop, it's like,
No, we
you know what I mean?
as a culture got to take pride in Trackstarz.
Yeah. That's
right.
Holy Culture.
That's right.
And, you know,
That's right.
we as a culture have to say that is our BET.
Yeah.
That is our MTV. But the problem is we don't do that. And when the labels come and say, here's $200,000 on a person that wasn't making that type of money, you're going to be like, okay, well, God knows my heart.
Yeah.
Well, to that point, man, I think what you just said is almost like a declaration. We have some responsibility to work together more closely. Like I already worked with Trackstarz last night. You and I were just talking about how can we do some things together, right? And I think the more we have those conversations and then demonstrate it, we help the overall culture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was trying to give y'all mogul names when y'all sat down at the
Don't
mic.
even try, bro.
There's no appropriate person to label y'all.
Don't even
after.
try.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about today. I want to get into this next one because I think it's important for people to hear our answers to these really big things that are happening in the world. One is it's a guy named Richard Dawkins, renowned atheist evangelist is what I call him, because it is a religion, and he is one of the number one evangelists of that religion. He was sitting down on a show or podcast or whatever, and he said,
I do think that we are culturally a Christian country. I call myself a cultural Christian. I'm not a believer, but there's a distinction between being a believing Christian and being a cultural Christian. And so, you know, I love hymns and Christmas carols, and I sort of feel at home in the Christian ethos. I feel that we are a Christian country in that sense. It's truth that statistically the number of people who actually believe in Christianity is going down, and I'm happy with that. But I would not be happy if, for example, we lost all our cathedrals and our beautiful parish churches. So I count myself a cultural Christian. I think it would matter if we substituted any alternative religion. That would be truly dreadful.
But it's interesting to me that you see the value and the force for good of the United Kingdom having a Christian foundation.
Yes, but I must emphasize that I think that the things that Christians believe are actually nonsense.
so he is
That's crazy.
he benefits from Christianity. He enjoys Christianity. He doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
What is that? So he calls himself a cultural Christian. And I think a lot more people in the world are cultural Christians than would admit. That they love church, they love the beauty of cathedrals and things like that. They love the goodness that Christianity creates in the world. It seems to be a lot more peaceful than other options. So they enjoy having it. They want their kids to learn it. Yeah. But they don't really believe it. Yeah. And that was very interesting to hear. The number one atheist that everybody points to, but Richard Dawkins says, he says that? That's crazy.
The thing that was surprising to me was when he said, I would be happy if they stopped believing.
Yeah, he still doesn't want you to be a Christian.
Right. But then he also, when he started describing the church, it almost sounded like one of the eighth wonders of the world, right? Like you're just talking about the church is a pretty place. Yeah. It's a historical place, and it's so many, nice ones. When you go to a place like London, you see so many nice churches. And to my mind is like he's saying culture, like it's a culture of the world, like it's a beautiful thing, but not a culture Christian itself. You know what I mean? Like not being a Christian or even liking Christians in that sense.
It's the equivalent of like, yo, I like that refrigerator over there.
Yeah, it's got a nice screen on it.
But I don't turn the power on to it. Right. I just like the refrigerator. I just want to look at the refrigerator. Yeah. Or I like the benefits of how the refrigerator makes this place look. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I don't. But the power of the refrigerator to change the temperature of the food or whatever, or keep it cold or whatever, don't give me that.
So in context, the piece I cut out was she was comparing Christianity to the influx of Islam into the United Kingdom. Yeah. And he was terrified of Islam. He's like, I don't want that to take over. Yeah. I'd prefer Christianity. I'll choose Christianity every time. So it's like he knows there's something to it. It's different. There's something special about it. Yeah. I just don't believe it.
I think because he knows it's not forceful. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Islam is like they're trying to convert people like you by the sword almost. Not all, but I'm just saying what we're seeing over different countries is saying like people like persecuting people into Islam or forcing people into killing you like, hey, you either accept this or die. You know what I mean? Whereas us, we coming in and telling you about Jesus, if you accept it or not, we're going to be praying for you, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to say, his argument, like as I listened to him, three things came to mind. One, it was kind of circular. Mm-hmm. Two, it was nonsensical. Yeah. And it's non sequitur. Like there's no, for example, like I love the lights, but I don't believe in electricity, and I don't believe anybody really believes in electricity. But I love the lights. Nah, bro. I mean, seek ye first the kingdom of God, right? That's what creates the culture. Yeah. And so there is no culture absent seeking ye first the kingdom of God.
Yeah. The cold part is he acknowledged Christ.
Right.
So you're gonna tell us not to believe, but you said Christian. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I did want to hear more about when he says, now what they believe in is nonsense, and then you cut it. So I was like, I want to hear.
He went into basically saying, because the lady who was interviewing him basically says, I'm a little bit more than a cultural Christian. Mm-hmm. And he was trying to interrogate her and say, like, do you believe that Mary was really a virgin when she gave birth to Jesus? Do you really believe that Jesus came back from the dead? And she was kind of waffling on those answers. Mm-hmm. So he's basically saying that I'm glad it exists, but I don't believe it's true. Is what he was trying to really harp on. And his whole mission, because I see him as a missionary, his whole mission is to convince you that it's not true.
He reminds me of the dude that wrote the book, The Case for Christ. I can't remember his name right now. Right? We need to get him that book. Right?
Yeah, Lee. I'm sure he knows who he is.
Yeah.
This guy is the guy that everybody debates.
Yeah.
All the Yeah. But what it made me think of is, when God describes, the rapture and Christians being pulled out of the earth and we're the salt of the earth, and how people don't realize us being here preserves the goodness of God on the earth. And if we were to be removed, and I think he senses that in his heart, if Christianity was really removed, it would be a bad place to be. Yeah. And he's like, don't take it away. I just don't want you to believe it. But
I just want you to
get rid of it.
Yeah.
Don't get rid of it. It's like, that's nuts.
But then the scripture talks about like the power, not using the power like to make you godly, like godliness power. Mm-hmm. But I'm very paraphrasing, but it's just talking about like you I just slipped my mind, but it's basically talking about how like you want to be a Christian, but you're not using the power of God to get you through anything. Mm-hmm. So it's like that's what I see about this whole situation, that it's mostly about somebody that's saying, I want the traditionals, I want the Christmas carols, I want all the things that emphasize Christian that's in the culture that makes our culture look good, versus the power of God that can change our culture to his glory.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Last night I was watching a documentary called Proving the Exodus. Moses parting the Red Sea. And I got halfway through it. And the very beginning is that we are going to dispel or approve the story of the Exodus, right? From the archaeological standpoint, from a biblical standpoint, and from a skeptic standpoint. And I love the way they laid out the facts for the archaeological proof and facts, right? Yeah. We found walls that are of brick, that are of modern, that of ancient, Israel platforms. And then they talked about, the Red Sea and the evidence of the Red Sea and the sand melting and how a ball of fire is the only thing that can melt sand that deep. And so when I see things like that and I hear people like Richard Dawkins talk, it makes me wonder, like, how much education are you not looking for when it comes to proving that it exists versus not proving that it doesn't exist?
I mean, the one thing I would say about him and people who listen to him to be skeptical of and look out for is anyone who says, I want the party elements, but I don't want the work before the party.
Yeah.
I want to be on the football team. I want the uniform. I want to come play in the game.
Go to practice.
But I don't want to practice. I don't want to run around the track. I don't want to lift any weights. I don't want to do any drills. I want to be on the basketball team. I want the jersey. I want to be able to shoot. I want a shot clock, but I do not want to work out and do the sweat. We should always be skeptical of anyone like that in any sphere that is backing up from all of it. And I just want the celebratory parts that feel good.
Basically, he's a non-believer believer.
Yeah.
Bam.
And what's interesting, I don't know if you guys understand how atheist this dude is. Like, he doesn't believe at all. So calling himself a cultural Christian, to me, is more of a warning to people out there who go about their daily lives who call themselves Christians. Are you really a Christian? Do you really believe, or are you really this in disguise?
Is that being used to do a heart check, though? Yeah. Because if I'm sitting there and I hear the number one atheist say, I'm a cultural Christian, and I know what the origins of the word Christian comes from, does that make me stop and say, oh, you know what? Am I a believer, or am I just doing?
Well, I mean, I think for people saying, like, cultural Christians could be people who, like you said, like I think Tim Ross was on the Breakfast Club, and he was saying, like, sometimes people were like, he was like religion just don't work. He's just, if you going to your house, I mean, if you going to church on Sunday and living any other way Monday through Saturday, then stop doing it. Stop coming to church, because it's counterproductive.
And I disagree with that, because I feel like if you continue to go to church, God will continue to press on your heart. Like, you tell somebody, hey, you're just living crazy, just stop coming. No, this is where you need to be, because this is where the Holy Spirit can actually reach you.
I think the thing was, he was saying that you're tricking yourself if you're not trying to change. If the Holy Spirit is saying don't do it,
you'll feel like you're okay when you're not.
But you're like, I can go to church.
I still feel like that's okay. I think I have friends that do that.
Got you.
I think I have friends that do that, and I would prefer to see them in church on Sunday than not. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you a question. Is it church or is it worship? Because according to the word, we're having church now.
Right, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's a matter of, do you want to see your friends at worship, versus the church? Because I think even my man is misconstruing church.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The mere fact that he talking about Christ now is having church.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he don't understand that, from that perspective.
I agree. And that point of the cultural Christian, every time we have a new term like that develop, particularly with somebody who's a non-believer, what it has the potential to do is further fragment us and create distractions, right? And crazy distraction. It's like pulling at the thread of a sweater. So now all of a sudden, you create another section or segment of people who now have to go through another deconstruction because of this, right? And so, again, I just want to double down on what I said earlier. The skepticism we should have in his entire argument, right, should be there in full force of, yo, bro, you don't get the party without playing a part of preparing the party.
But you see it, though. Yeah. You see it in our country. You see it with political parties. You see it with Mama and them went to church, so I went to church. You know what I mean? It's here.
I agree with that. I agree
so
with that.
Let's do this. Let's do this one, because we got a lot to get to today. Next one up is all kind of the same theme, so there's a lot more to get to. Nick Cannon has a podcast.
Yep.
I don't know the name of the gentleman he had on.
Nurul Muhammad of the Nation of Islam.
Good job. And he was basically arguing that, all religions are kind of the same. We should all kind of get over our differences and work together. I want to see what you guys think about that.
And we're all really wanting the same thing. Yeah. Why is it so difficult for different ideologies and philosophies to get along, because ultimately we're all seeking the same truth.
You teach it. But so what came to my mind as you said that is spiritual maturity. See, when you are spiritually mature, you respect the truth wherever the truth comes from. So most of us, we are engaged in religion, but we are religious gangbanging and spiritual set tripping. It's either you are with my denomination or you going to hell. But the fact, the truth is that even the term denomination is anti-God. Yep. And most people don't want to accept it, but God is bigger than your church. He's bigger than your mosque. He's bigger than your denomination. Matter of fact, he's bigger than your religion.
Right.
So can I jump in real quick? Anyone here been in the Nation of Islam?
No, but I got a friend.
I was in for 3 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, we get
okay, so we do not want the same thing. Let me just be clear. We do not want the same thing, okay? Listen, without any disrespect to the Nation of Islam, because I will say one of the things I was going through at that time is I was a child who had lost his father too early. I was in Philly. I was looking for a solid group of people to be with, and that was it in Philly at the time. And the Nation was really big in Philly, late 90s, 2000s, right? And so I went there, and I learned a lot about discipline and structure and whatnot. But in terms of what the Nation of Islam believes, right? It's not even all contained in the surah in text. There's a lot of things that happens outside the text and their core beliefs that is preached inside the mosque. And so I'm just going to say that again without disrespect. We do not want the same thing.
Wow.
Got it.
Period.
Yeah, I think this is dangerous, because if he was saying the same thing to a church as a Christian, it makes a lot of sense, because if we have the commonality that Jesus Christ died for our sins, he's God himself, and we all agree on the basics. Yeah. Then yes, the differences between the denominations shouldn't keep us from working together and building. Right. But when he adds in things that are contrary to the faith, right, that don't rest on Jesus' power and who he is, then we have a real serious problem. Shouldn't be to blows, but we don't have any commonality at all. If it's not about Jesus, Jesus said, "I'm the way, truth, and life." If you don't go through him, you don't go. And there's no mixing that. There's no elephant that we're all staring at from different angles. That's untrue. He is the stumbling block. You have to deal with him. He said he was God, and he said you can't get there without me. What are you gonna do about that?
And that's the funny thing about the opening of that conversation, where he was just like, we all are saying that if you don't follow my religion, you're going to hell. And that's not true. We already know that there's only one way. So if you're talking to me about, there's multiple ways, then you're already disconnected.
I'm gonna tell you something I heard real quick. There's a young man who like reacts to apologetics videos. I wish I knew his name. He's awesome. I'll try.
I know you're talking about.
If I come back and link back, he's awesome. He does a great job. He highlighted something one apologist said there was a guy asking him, he was quoting from the Quran, and the guy was like, well, that's not. He said, that's the word of God, isn't it? And he was like, no, it's not. He said, in the Quran, they say that the Bible is true. Yeah. So when you ask somebody that believes in Islam why you don't believe the Bible, they say it because it was corrupted. But in the Quran, it says Allah's word can't be corrupted. Yeah. So if Islam is true, then Christianity is true. Yeah. If Christianity is true, Islam isn't. Yeah. So it's he cleaned it up like so perfectly. Yeah. It is not the same. We're not just all trying to get to the same place. It is completely different. And if you don't deal with that, and maybe you're a cultural Christian, maybe you're a cultural, a Muslim or a cultural Jew, and you see it all as whatever to you, it is not. You have to deal with Jesus. Yeah, Everybody has to.
I think the problem is not the problem, but the good thing is Jesus is the thing that separates all the religions for everybody. And I think from some people's document, Jesus is a God, or he's not the God, he's a God, or he's a prophet, he's this, he's that. But for us, he's the one and true and living God. Yeah. And I think for us, that's the problem that we have with Brother Muhammad, because it's like he's just making it like it's just God. You know what I mean?
Right.
The thing about it is it's all subjective, right? Yeah. Because it's based on your faith.
Yeah.
If you grew up in Islam, you don't know nothing else. So you gonna say whatever that is according to your belief.
Yeah.
Our opinions come based on the fact that we believe, in our faith and our religion. You know what I'm saying? Of different religions in regards within the faith. So it's gonna always be subjective.
Yeah.
The Seventh-day Adventists gonna think way different than the Baptists. You know what I mean? The Islam is gonna always think different until, like my brother did, all of a sudden you start weighing the values of each, and then you go, wait a minute. Now it makes sense to you, so where you can then, get that discernment that then transitions you over. But if you grew up in Islam, you're not gonna know You're not gonna know, Christianity and on that side of things.
Yeah.
Even if you're looking in like you made the statement where you say, the Quran believes the Bible, but then Christianity, they don't think like that.
Yeah.
They'll never think like that until they get brought to the light.
Exactly.
And they go, oh, I get it, because now they can discern between the two.
Right.
Are you all familiar with oneisrael.org? Have y'all heard of that? Oneisrael.org is a Jewish movement to pronounce Jesus as the Messiah, and talked about the scales falling off their eyes and how they can clearly see. And it's been interesting because they're talking about, I saw the commercial last night because it was playing during my documentary on YouTube, and it talks about how they are starting a movement to teach younger Jewish children the Messiah, Jesus the Messiah, because of their watering down by their families and the fact that it's forbidden to go looking for anything about Jesus, in that sense. And so I love the fact that they're creating these movements for younger people to get involved early so that they can kind of like tone down the brainwash.
All right, so we got to get into Ty Tribbett again. Back in the news. So he was talking about, I don't know what he was talking about, honestly, Jeremiah. He was talking about city girls and
well, somebody on the Ball Alert podcast, he talked about church systems, but then she brung it to city girls, and he gave his opinion about the city girl lifestyle.
A city girl world filled with all the dogs. How does church fit in?
How do city girls fit in?
Right.
I believe, oh man. How does church fit in? I think church fits in because at some point, every city girl is going to need help beyond anybody around them. They're going to need some type of soul, mental help that even you can get the best therapist. God is going to make sure he's needed, yo. I'm trying not to bang your table. He's a jealous guy, yo. He don't play. He don't play nobody else getting his shine. He don't play nobody else getting. So you're going to blow up. You're going to be a city girl. You're going to be the hottest. You're going to be until something hits your life that's going to make you fold your hands and seek something higher than anybody you know. So God makes himself relevant just through storms. And he don't like causing them, but he allows them to be relevant. This is so good right now. Jesus said, go to the other side, and the disciples were going on the boat to the other side, and a storm comes. It's like we obeying Jesus, and we went right into a storm. But then Jesus come walking on the water, and then Peter, walks on the water with him. God sent them into a storm just to show him another side of himself. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes storms come to reveal him in another way. So even in the city girl world and in all this crazy and the baddies, all that stuff, my daughters be watching this sometimes. Be like, it's entertainment, right? Are y'all not becoming this? So in that type of world, in their real lives off camera, something is hitting them. And even on camera, you see like, man, they're going to need the help and the strength and the wisdom of the Lord. And whether they realize that now or later, I think we're all going to come to that. The Bible says, every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. I just rather do it now.
I'm gonna raise my hand first. Yes, sir. So, city girl, is that a defined term? Help. So,
I think the group is a model for the women that look up to them. But that's a lifestyle that they presented, but they just got the name of it.
Who when you say they, who's they?
City girls.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm not familiar with them.
Girls. Yeah. So they're I think where are they out of? Is
Miami.
Miami. So it's kind of like a lot of girls have adopted, not that they had it already, but I'm saying like it's kind of promoting this like street, I'm out here lifestyle. And I guess they were asking. I'm trying to see thoughts. Yeah.
Got it.
So yeah, that's all you need.
That's all I need to hear. Okay, got it.
Trap theology.
What do you think, Jeremiah?
No, I think it was interesting when I saw that, because I was like, oh, he about to catch some heat. Because in the comments, the first comments was like, what about the men though? What about the men? The men got to do it right. And I think my question was like, why she asked him that? But at the same time, somebody needed to hear that. And yeah, man, I think that lifestyle, I think people celebrate it, and I think more and more of them are going to regret it later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
no doubt about that.
Because you're starting to see God shifting in people's lives, or God is like really bringing people out of stuff. And you're hearing testimonies of people saying, man, I was doing this, doing it, and the Lord just took, and you know what I mean? So I think it's glamour because it looks glamorous. It's on the Shade Room, it's on Baller, it's on all these platforms, and it's appealing to young ladies, older women too, but it's appealing to them because it's an easy lifestyle. You know what I mean? And it really, at times, is a disguise of prostitution. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. So, but at the same time, it's like, it's going to lead you down to a path of destruction. Yeah. And that's for a man too. Like a man that's living that fast life, whatever, it's going to lead you down to a path of destruction.
Yeah.
I think it all comes with age, right? You know, when you're young, you have all this energy, right? You have all these endless possibilities, but as you get older, those possibilities become limited. Mm-hmm. And so now you have to think different. Like, okay, I only got, 20 years left, 30 years left, 50 years left. So what am I going to do in that 50 years, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think of the City Girls, or when I think of anybody, they all believers, realistically. Because what's the first thing they do when they go to the award show? I like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I like to thank God. I like to thank, you know what I'm saying? But then they still continue to be ratchet, right? But I just think everybody has God in them, and eventually that awakens as you get older because you run out of possibilities and opportunities.
Man, I wish I could 200% agree with that. Like, I would love to. Like that age brings wisdom and change, but I think you're gonna have some city aunts and some city grandmas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you do. Right now, you still do.
Yeah.
I agree with what he said when he said that everybody's gonna come to a breaking point, right? And your storm may be the thing that draws you closer. Because they all go through something. We all go through something. I think about that a lot when you're talking about death, right? Mm-hmm. And how it changes people, Yeah. So I feel like, there's going to be a point where everybody's going to take that, like what we were talking about last week when we were talking about, what's her name? That says she gets visited by demons at night.
Oh, yeah.
Sweetie.
Yeah.
She visited by demons at night, but you turn on gospel music to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, eventually, that's got to take hold where you look up and you're like.
But even Farrakhan asked, cried out for Jesus on his deathbed, right? I mean, so the thing I would ask city girls to think about is we all are stacking repentance debt until we meet Christ and accept Him.
Yeah.
How much debt do you want to have?
Exactly. Yeah.
That repentance debt is, man, when you meet Christ and go through that process of change, and you will have your opportunity to meet Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's true that they'll have an opportunity where God confronts them. I think what we worry about though is all the damage that happens until then.
Yeah.
Like you have a microphone and you're able to spread this poison to the world, and a lot of young girls will grow up thinking you are the model they need to follow. Mm-hmm. So what do you do until then? Like, what do you do when they are spewing this stuff and the world allows them to spew this attitude to kids? I hope they find Jesus a real way one day, but what are we supposed to do with all the nonsense they throw out in the world?
Not promote it. See, the problem is it's being promoted through radio, it's being promoted through television, it's being promoted through sources that people deem relevant as news to them, or to get the updated content. And it all boils down to, if you can change that and not highlight it, then you might have a chance.
Yeah.
But it's so highlighted because it's making money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even with the City Girls, the lifestyle is making money for them. Yeah. It ain't even making money for other city girls. That's the cold part. You know what I'm saying? But it's making money for them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think, too, what we do is kind of back to point one discussion. The more we link up and amplify Holy Girls and Child Like Cece and Wande and Portia Love. We can't let Satan be the prince of the air.
Right.
We got to continue to amplify platforms and put out equally, if not stronger, voice for girls to see.
All right, let's get into Lecrae. Lecrae's been reflecting a lot recently, and he's been called a lot of things over the years, and he's focusing on people calling him lukewarm recently. So this is one of the latest things.
Let's go to this one. This is my first Grammy win.
Music such as mine to be accepted and embraced by everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, let's talk about those barriers a little bit, because you do gospel rap music and you're here at the Grammys. So some barriers have already been broken down. Can you just talk about that process?
Yeah, first of all, it's just even the labels. Like, I don't try to do gospel music. I'm not trying to be a gospel rapper. I'm a hip hop artist, you know what I'm saying? And so I just want to be honest about what I believe in my music. And so, in the same way Kendrick is going to be honest in his music about his beliefs, I'm going to be honest about mine. And I just think if it's good, it's good. If it's good hip-hop, it's good hip-hop, and it should just be embraced. And that's really the aim for me. So I'm glad to be out here amongst people who do good music and who can appreciate good music. And some of it may talk about God, some of it may not.
Now, this is great. I love this clip because it looks confident and cocky, but it's really not. In this time period, now you have to remember this, y'all. You got to remember this. There was no model for me. There was nobody I could name who was a Christian rapper who grew up on hip hop and hip hop culture and then entered back into that space and was trying to be a relevant missionary to the culture.
Was our first reaction of a reaction. That was crazy. So what do you think about Lecrae? I know this bothered you around this time when he was kind of like not claiming and all that kind of stuff. What do you think about his reflection on that time period? Do you think he's right about his approach that he took? What do you think?
So Lecrae, represents a reservoir for me from coming from mainstream hip hop and not being able to enjoy that music, like being at the concerts with the Lil Jons and the Scrappies and all that kind of stuff and the T.I.s and not feeling like I could like move to it. But when I went to my first Unashamed concert, I was like, I'm in a place where edifying God, the music's good. So that was different for me. So he represented something totally different in my life. It was like a clean washing for me. And so for him to have gone through, and I was listening to one of the things he said was like, I'm just here around other people making good music. And if I'm making good music too, well, the music they were making was never good. It was something you could vibe to. Maybe other people liked it, but it wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? The content around it was never good. The output was never good. The result of it was never good. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I wish he would have taken that and said, you know what? Inspirational, life-changing, like things like that. But I like the fact that he reflects on his younger self and, tries to correct the areas where he feels like I might have come short. Because remember the Andy Mineo situation where they were like, what's that mean on your hat? That's my team. It's like, you're on national television, biggest platform. What is this? It
was like
NBC,
Fox News. Fox News.
And it was like, what's that? It's just my team. It's like everybody around the table was like, yo, he could have easily just said 116 stands for Unashamed of the Gospel of Jesus Christ. Like, we missed it.
I'm trying to think about people who came before Lecrae. They may have not done it like him, but there was some people that came out before him that made noise, but wasn't like his quote unquote his level. If you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I could think of because I've been in it for a while, but just thinking about like T-Bone. Like T-Bone was on The Cut. He was on MTV. He was in a movie with Beyonce. He was on his stuff, but he wasn't like. I don't know if he was on that same level as Lecrae, and just to give him that grace of saying, trying to understand him. But it's been people, but they haven't been, like, if you were on 10, they were at an 8 or 7. You know what I mean?
I watched that whole episode the other day, and had to stop a couple times because, in between meetings and things, and I enjoyed it. I loved the transparency of it. I love the admissions of, this is where I was at the time. This is where I think my head was. This is, quite frankly, some places where I was fronting. Like, I was just saying, look, and I was backed in the corner where I didn't know who to listen to, so I only started listening to, Eric Mason and certain people, right? Because I wanted to also a black perspective as a young black male having gone through these things. I also appreciate his comments still about, like, for example, when I was on Good Morning America, I took shots because I did this song and not that song, right? He's like, my first time on Good Morning America. He's like, have you been on Good Morning America? Like, I didn't know. I wasn't sure which way to go. So I just appreciate the look back, the honesty, reflection, and the admissions of when he feel like maybe he could have done something different, but wasn't sure at the time.
Yeah, it's crazy because I look at it from a different angle, right? I look at it from you got to be accepting of Christian hip hop, period. Like, you are the beacon of the culture.
Yeah.
Accept that. Rap, when rap started, it was about, survival.
Yeah.
At first.
Yeah.
Then the 1%ers and the 5%ers came in.
Yeah.
It's just that's the only thing I get mad at is that you calling this Christian hip hop when we should just be hip hop, because the Muslims rap. They don't call it Muslim rap.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if that's anything, but at the end of the day, they labeled it. We didn't label it. The mainstream labeled it. So accept that and be the beacon for that. It's always about the culture of collaboration.
Yeah.
Come within the culture, collaborate so that we can be the front runners when it comes to hip hop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why everybody's gravitating to doing gospel records. Look at the Drakes and the Snoops and they all coming in, Kanye's, because they know that this is the safe space for really to excel. So when I think about, Craig, he won in the gospel category.
He did, yeah.
It wasn't the hip hop category.
Yeah, right.
So, you know what I mean? And I'm not diminishing his Grammys at all, because I actually, and I'm going to just put this out there. So I'm a Grammy member.
Right.
And I was a part of one of the things when Lecrae, when he won a Grammy, I was in the rooms when it was being decided. You know what I'm saying? Because I was one of the dudes they came to in regards to that. I fought for him.
Yeah.
In that. I fought for Kiera Sheard in that as well. So at the end of the day, the even when it comes to the Grammys, it's only respected because it's us, it's the peers. But the thing is, we don't have a lot of Christian hip hop peers in there, or we would see a lot more, right? So I think him being the beacon, he can cultivate that. Okay, we need to get more members in so that now we can then go to the Grammys and get a category put in just for us, because we have to be in the contemporary Christian category where we fighting against for King and Country, Lauren Daigle, Toby Keith. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we never gonna win. It's gonna be people like him that has these relationships with various entities within the industry that allows him to get showcased in front of these people to where they go, oh, we actually like that. Let's vote for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it has to be reciprocated down, and when that happens is when we'll grow.
Okay, so I get you. All right, well, I think, keep going. I like you said, I like what he's doing. Let's move to Tony Evans. This is actually an older clip, but I think it's instructive for today. Tony Evans was talking to a conference. I don't know the makeup of the conference, but he was challenging them on politicizing Christianity too much. So let's see what he said. We have developed. Wow, it's what we've been trying to say on the show for a long time.
Got smoke for everybody.
So what was interesting to me, because there's mic drop, but we just put out a video, talking about the whole Trump Bible thing. Yeah. And in the comments, people who I've seen in our comments on other things where we're like talking about Candace Owens in a positive way, now they're like, you can't talk about him that way. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. We're calling out nonsense wherever it is. I don't care which side of the aisle you want. I don't care who you vote for.
Right.
So why you feel like you need to defend this man? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if we go do one about Biden and the whole transgender thing, then you're going to be like, yes. Yeah. It's all nonsense. We got to call it out wherever it is. And I think it's rare to see somebody so boldly call out each side and say exactly what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've been trying to say here is that the Republican Party knows you're a Christian, they use it against you. Democrat Party knows you're black, they use it against you. So what are we to do, black Christians? How do we handle what are we supposed to do? And I think we get caught in the middle of that all the time, but I think it's time for us to say, no, you need to bend to the word of God.
Yeah.
We're not bending to y'all no more. So I thought that was great.
That was good, man.
That was powerful.
That was.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. At the end of the day, even when it comes to political side. I call myself a Democratic Republican, right? Because I believe in issues on both sides. You know what I'm saying? From the finances, to the social issues. So for me, it's a matter of what candidate is the best candidate in that format. But I think as a church or as a body of people, we should discuss the rights and the wrongs, and it shouldn't be about where this opponent come from. It's what does that person believe and how does it benefit us in regards to our faith and our walk, right? Yeah. We don't do that. We get caught up in sides, and then the propaganda comes where they pitching us against this or pitching that against whatever. So for me, it's like at the end of the day, I just want to know who's the right person. And then when you really think about it, if you're not voting in your local elections, you ain't really getting it right anyway.
Man,
because
go,
the law, and when people got mad at the Trayvon Martin situation, that was a Florida law. Had nothing to do with, you know what I'm saying? So all the Floridians should be mad because they voted. They didn't go to the polls and vote, you know what I'm saying? Or they voted for that. So at the end of the day, you got to pay attention to everything. The local elections is whatever city you in or whatever state you in, those are the laws that govern you.
But here's the question. Why isn't the local election sexy to black people?
Do you think sometimes it's ignorance?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, for 2-3 years running now. Well, first of all, let me say this too on that. That how we often use the term heart check. I mean, that's beyond a heart check. That's a Christ check. Right. That was like I love moments like that. Where it just makes you like, let me take that in. But 2 years running, man, during the election process, and we'll do it again this year. We talked through on the station, at least on my show, just being engaged in the process. What's your responsibility? Because you may not like the process, but until we have theocratic rule, this is the process, right? And so I don't choose a party. I like to talk about, have you understood the issues?
Right.
And then have you started to research people who align with the larger part of your issues? And then have you made inroads to spend time with those people? First of all, your local representatives are accessible. You can schedule a meeting. You can go sit down with them. Then you can go to other town halls and whatnot. So then you go from there, local to state to national, right? And so unless you've done that, then you haven't taken a hold of your rights as a citizen, a tax-paying citizen that's paying for all of it, by the way. And so everything else after that, to me, becomes a little diluted if you're not doing that.
And then you don't understand the power of voting.
That's right.
That's why they're trying to take it from you.
Yeah.
Because it really matters.
Yeah.
You know, when people showed up for Obama, they really showed up. And that changed the whole perspective to where now they, the powers that be tried to change the map.
Right.
They were like, hold up, we can't allow that to happen. So at the end of the day, I'm with you. Local, understand the process.
Yeah.
When you understand, that's why I wish, my age is dated, but when we had conjunction function and I'm just a bill sitting on Capitol Hill.
Pull that up. No.
You know what I'm saying? Like they taught you how things move through Congress.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But they don't have that today.
It's a secular rapper, and he broke down the systems of the government.
Yeah.
I don't want to endorse it, but it was very smart of him to do that. Like, okay, this is the reason why this went this way. This bill is this what this means, different things like that. And I think that's what needs to be done, because I think people automatically think when Obama got in office, like, yo, it's on and popping, and then you get mad because it ain't on and popping, but you don't know your local mayor or you, you know what I'm saying? You don't know none of these people, and you don't care to know, honestly. Right. And that's sad. It's like in certain cities, but like you said, you go to other people's cities, and they in those town halls like, no, y'all said y'all gonna do this.
Right.
Y'all need to do what y'all said y'all gonna do.
That's actually right.
Yeah.
And you know what? People overseas who are under parliamentary rule and whatnot would be begging to be in opposition.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Real fact. Yeah. And then at the same time, if the president is nothing but the CEO of the United States.
Yeah.
Right. He can't make a move without Congress.
Yeah.
And Congress is your local people.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
If you want things to change, you got to change in Congress, change the senators, change the House, because they're the ones that's going to say, hey, President, here's a bill we propose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this is based on what our constituents is telling us.
Yes.
You see what I mean? So that's what it boils down to.
Salute to Tony Evans, man.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that got me on that speech is the part when he talks about homosexuality, right? And that being the problem of an evil, but then also that's a big problem of the black church. That's a big problem of the black church because it's been so widely accepted. I know a lot of pastors. I know a lot of Christians that think that that's just something that you just you just soak in. Yesterday I was on a Zoom call and I didn't pronounce my pronouns, which I never do, and I purposely don't do it, but I got called out for it. Like, please say your pronouns next time. Like, what? My camera's on. I don't need to say my pronouns. So that to me it feels like that's one of those things that, yes, in that speech it was great, but if we hit that a little bit more and talk about the evils that exist there, then I think you step on a lot more toes.
Yeah.
Yep. 200%.
All right. Let's do this. Chili baby. Come up to the table. Y'all
Breathe.
come up. Y'all come up. Slide up.
OG in the building.
Yeah, I mean.
This next one's gonna be good. I want to hear everybody's take on this one. Everybody's take.
What's up, baby? What's up?
CR, what's the name of this podcast? Is it called Jubilee? Jubilee. Okay. All right. So there's a show on YouTube called Jubilee. They have these, really good conversation, I would say, where they pair up different types of people and hash out, issues. And on one of their shows, they had Black Christians and Black atheists. And they were having debates, bringing up different things that might happen, different disagreements that Black atheists and Black Christians have. I originally had this topic before the Tony Evans one, but I realized we need the Tony Evans one as context for this next one. Listen to what this Black atheist guy said.
What's the more that you're looking for within the church for the Black community?
I need the church to put their race. I need all Black Christians to put their race either on the same level or above Christianity politically, not socially, politically. Yeah. Right? We need to, as a pastor, you need to preach that the church needs institutions. Otherwise, every single time that our grandmas go and pay tithes, they are funding their own displacement.
How is that better than white supremacy, though, if you're asking us to be supremacy?
So put your skin color at or above your faith. What do y'all think about what he said?
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
I mean, so I think a lot of our culture is basically screaming this without saying it, right? And especially when it comes to what we just talked about, where we're Black Christians are caught in the middle of this war between your faith and your skin color.
Yeah.
He would like you to choose your skin color. And I think a lot of people do choose their skin color over their faith. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know if it's skin color versus family. You know what I mean? Like most people will choose family over faith, right? But that's just a natural thing. It's not even like programmed. It's like you naturally, if something happens to my brother or something happens to my sister, I'm gonna go make it happen. But yeah, what that dude was talking about was just, it was ludicrous.
Well, what it says to me though is what he's concerned about is that we're contributing to our own issues as Black people by who we vote for, what we fund, and all that kind of stuff. Is he completely wrong about that? Is that something that we should ignore from what he said?
No. He's not totally wrong about that.
What I got from the brother was, I don't agree with his choice of, non-spirituality or whatever, but he wants us to be accountable as a whole, opposed to what I heard from the girl. To me, she more whitewashed. She's talking about being an American, and we haven't got all the just due we need as Americans, as Black Americans. So I disagree with her, and I understand he just wants us to be accountable as church people, build the churches, build the grocery stores with the churches, build the education system with the churches, and be accountable for being who we supposed to be as the body of Christ, because we've been slacking. Everybody start doing things that allow us to be funded financially, personally, in our own pockets. A church I work at right now, they building apartments on the parking lot. We don't got a parking lot no more because they was worried about getting money. The school that was upstairs is no longer up there. So the school stopped being important. You worrying about apartments that's putting money in your pocket. It ain't a low income apartment. It's just apartments for money. So you're not even doing low income to help people get established and get things. So the church really got to get back to grassroots, come outside the four walls. That's something that we push in LA, and we got pastors holding other pastors accountable, and they out there on the blocks with us. So I understand what the brother's saying. We got to get back in the community because we lacking. It ain't a whole lot of artists on ground zero with us too, as well as it's not pastors out there. So,
So in the live stream, Zion Prime says, Jesus said, "Who is my family?" Then pointed to his disciples. The one who would do the will of my Father is my family. So I know we feel as black people that when you see another black person get shot in the street, or you see another, we feel kin to them, right?
Yeah. Supposed to.
Are we ignoring the fact that our actual family is multicultural? Is that important to remember? Or because we see that black people get treated unfairly, disproportionately, all we're saying is, hey, let's at least get it right. Let's at least get this part right before we start talking about everything else.
Well, I'll say this. Our faith in Jesus, it should help our brothers and sisters that are black.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, if we put our faith first, that means when Jesus says, like, help the poor, help the less fortunate, help the widows, help these people, that's the people in our community. That's the community. Jesus ain't gonna tell you just help the church. He's gonna tell you to, of course, serve in your church and do that. But when he's in your community, he wants you to help destroy poverty, help destroy illiteracy, help destroy like
injustice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's not like Jesus is saying, like, turn your eyes to injustice. And I think they thinking American Christianity is saying, turn your eyes to injustice. Just help the church. Just help that. And like he said in the comments, they are, like, y'all are my family. And we have white brothers and sisters. We have Asians. We have Arabic. We have all types of, I'm sorry, it happened. But we have all types of people that represent the body of Christ. Yeah. So, of course, we think about faith first. But out of our faith, it should lead to seeing what's going on in the community that's wrong.
If you're not seeing that, then something's wrong with your faith.
Able to speak on blackness and not be like, oh, here they go with that black stuff again. Why? Yeah. Because everybody else is worrying about their own culture. Chinese got Chinatown. You know what I mean? Korea's got Koreatown. We don't got nothing. And the hood is being gentrified from us, so we don't have that. So at what point do Christians really? I don't know churches that really teach humanitarianism. We're not humanitarians, and so we don't see the different shades that the other colors, because it was a lot of Caucasians that helped Martin Luther King in his movement. Yeah. So we got to understand it's not about the color line, but when it comes to color, we got to help our own and don't take offense to that. Yeah. I love all people, but I got to help my black people. Yeah.
I mean, in the word, look at the people that Yahweh hung around. Look at the people that Joshua hung around, bro. Look at the people he fed. Yeah. He was always outside, never inside. Yeah. He get mad when he going inside.
He didn't act out what the nearest church was.
People inside ain't acting like the people outside. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he would stay outside. He feed the 5,000. He'll be with the whoremongers. He'll be with the gangsters. He'll be, that's what he was, because a lot of times when you look at it, that's what the realest people are.
Yeah. I've had my pockets with it because I've been offended by when there's something that happens in the black community and we all are at odds with that, and then you see the white church ignore that, but then they're speaking out in the name of Christianity, and they're the larger platform of recognized Christians in our country. And it's like, you call yourself the evangelical church, but then you're not speaking out against these things. You're brushing them under the rug. I feel like my skin color is being highlighted at this point, because you're looking at me like I could be that person that was shot in the back seat of that police car, or, to me that hurts. And so I've had problems where I identify a little bit with more like, okay, feeling like, my faith does matter to me more, but also my skin color is very highlighted and very on display whenever I'm interacting or seeing someone. Like, I can go into a store and feel my skin color, and then hope that you would know that if we had an issue, you would know that I'm a Christian, so that there's not going to be any more issues. But that's where I've always had that pull. Been hard for me.
I love how Red Breed, you unpack, man, the two perspectives of both of those people, right? Because what it made me think about is he's starting from a premise that those things are mutually exclusive, being a Christian or being black, right? He's not seeing that they're one and the same, and they serve all those purposes, right? And that the Bible solves for injustice, right? And so he's not seeing it, and so he's speaking from that. But to your point, Christ first, but I'm still a black man. You know what I'm saying? And I was very disappointed during the George Floyd era and different things, right? And I remember the specific experience. I wonder if anybody else did this. We were a bunch of different church leaders and whatnot, multicultural, and they did this exercise of there's 3 kids outside of a baseball game at a fence. The white kid can see into the game. The Asian kid can like barely see. The black kid is like slightly below the fence and can't really see, so he's trying to look through a hole. And the question was, what would equity look like if this situation was solved? So we break out into different groups and Zoom rooms. You have these discussions, then you come back. And most people is like, give the black kid another box that he can stand on to see the game. So I said, well, for me, give the black kid a seat in the game with everybody else in the stands and some popcorn. And it was like, well, whoa. I'm like, no, why does he have to stand outside the game? Right. Why can't he sit in the game with everybody else? Right. And it was too far a reach for many people in that conversation to figure out, to have that conversation. All 3 of the kids.
So they could equally.
Absolutely. That was my point.
Yeah. Take the fence down.
Take the fence down.
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah. So I watched the whole conversation because what I get out of things like that, I know our first inclination is to be like, this atheist, but like you could learn a lot from what people think about the church, right? Mm-hmm. So take in again the meat, throw out the bone. Mm-hmm. There's some truth that you need to get out of what that kid said, and then make sure you apply it biblically because he's wrong about putting faith over your skin color. You should never do that. But there is something about seeing injustice and not doing anything about it. Seeing your family members suffering and you just like, it's all about me. Mm-hmm. There's some truth in that. So I hope that at some point he gets that you don't have to separate those two. Yeah. That Jesus cares about what he cares about just like we do.
I love when I see conversations like that happening because when you think about Solomon being the wisest of all men and we come from that lineage, it almost makes you feel like, well, if you sit at this table long enough, the wisdom that I have to show you in Christ and understanding the word is going to eventually get into your psyche because to me it feels like atheists can only go so far with their conversation. You got to just, at some point it just stops. Yeah. And we can continue to go on and on and on because our God is eternal. So,
all right.
And do atheists, they believe in evil, like the evil side of things, or they don't believe in like?
They believe everything is just happenstance, atoms crashing into each other. So,
but I did see a good conversation between an agnostic and an atheist where he was asking him, how do you determine the good versus evil? And he was saying, flying planes into a tower, is that good or evil? And he was like, that's evil. And then he's like, so what makes you say that? Because they say that's good. You know,
there has
so
to be absolute
it's
truth.
got right, exactly, and so it made him stop. He completely lost the conversation because he didn't know, like, how do I come back from that?
If there's a universal law, that means there's a lawgiver, and if you take away the lawgiver, then you can't say one thing is right or wrong.
That's why I asked the question, because if you believe in one thing and not have that opposite side of it, then how can you believe on one thing and be one-sided?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
Positive
good.
and negative make the batteries move.
Say it again.
Positive and negative make the battery move.
Yeah.
We can't have these lights in here without positive and negative.
Yeah,
that's good.
So you gotta have the bad and you gotta have the good. I come from the bad. The Father turned me to the good. So you gotta have that. I gotta say, good boy, bad boy, good. You know what I'm saying? When we young, we good boys. We at the house, we chilling. We get older, we bad boys. Once we get wiser and we get born again, now we back to the good boy.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying? Good boy, bad boy, good. You know.
Man, we did it. We did it.
Are we finished?
Ciara was staring at me. Yeah, that's what we said.
Snap.
1:15 was our target because we got to get out of here. If you don't know, if you came in late, we did the show very different today. We normally have breaks between segments and all that kind of stuff. We had to do a Joe Budden style because we have to go to the Christian Hip Hop Hall of Fame where everybody here is getting recognized in the first, annual whatever you call it.
Induction.
First induction.
First ballot.
So we have to get over there by 2. So we decided we didn't want to skip the show because that was the alternative, to just skip it altogether. But we had so many great people coming in town, we didn't want to do that. So we, if you notice, I was like, all right, wrap it up. But yeah, we still wanted to make sure we were able to get a show. It's going to be a lot of post-production for me and Ryan to make sure we get y'all the shows. But I think it was worth it.
Y'all gonna let Jay know? See this? That y'all did this for him. Y'all gonna make sure Jay sees it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Definitely. So thank you guys for watching live. We'll be back. Normal, unless y'all are like, yo, I like this format.
And, let our guests give their socials.
Yeah. Everybody,
please
start right here.
Oh, You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, MC Nice LA. That's EMCEENICE LA, and MC Nice on TikTok. So you can check out my food.
Yes.
You can find us at Camp A Republic on IG, camparepublic.com. You can find me at Chili Baby on IG. Yep. You know, tap in. You know what I'm saying? You got chefs and seasonals. You feel me?
You can Google the hashtag Rare Breed 33C, Rare Breed 33C. When you Google that, you see everything.
At Holy Culture on all socials and holyculture.net.
Awesome, man. Y'all did such a great job. Hopefully you guys got a lot of wisdom out of our guests today. They are big names in this game. Of course they're gonna shake their head, but I'm telling you the truth. Like a lot of this stuff doesn't exist without these gentlemen at the table here, man. So they're being honored today, and they deserve it. And we're just really grateful for them. So thank you guys for coming through.
Thank you for having us.
Blessing our show. All right, let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.